Homosexuals, pop in. Come indulge with me for a minute. This is going to be different for a minute. If you were here last time, you would have heard that there was a bit of tweakage happening in the left quad tendon, as I have recovered in the past from. I've talked about this many times. It is just unfortunate, but sometimes you just build up and build up and build up. And whenever you push a little too hard without realizing you're pushing too hard, the first thing that's going to go is what you have injured in the past. Every time. It is very unfortunate, unless you are just unlucky enough to have gone way too heavy and then injured something else. But it's just how it kind of goes when it comes to weightlifting, especially Olympic lifting. You lift for so long, and especially if you've lifted for years, even if you have a great program and you're consistent and you don't feel like you're going too heavy all the time, you're going to get injured at some point from something that's solely due from the buildup of lifting for so long, you know? It's not even going to be so much for the fact of you did it wrong or the form was inefficient or something was out of place. You could do everything perfectly. And at the end of the day, the fatigue will still eventually catch you, even if you don't feel it. Every single time. I'm telling you. I was talking to a guy about it today, and it's one of those things where you really get humbled and learn through these types of injuries that they never persist forever, but they linger forever. You know, they're always just sitting, waiting to get hurt again. The moment you let the ego get a little too ahead of yourself. And it really teaches you how you are not limited by your strength. You are limited by your core, your tendons, your joints, and your bones. The things that pull your muscles together and keep you in a nice frame that gives you the best, you know, that when you look at your training like a pyramid or your body like a pyramid, I mean that literally in the sense of you want the best base possible, the widest base, because towards the top of that pyramid is going to be when you're hitting the heaviest, scariest weights. And if your base isn't fully prepped and ready for that, and you got a very narrow base, you're going to tip over and get injured, you know? And so that's what I'm training against right now. The program is not going to be anywhere near the norm for most likely the entire month of December. Just being real. Because it's not me just being real with you guys. If I don't know who gets excited for me to lift heavy weights, but I know I do. And I got to be real with myself in the sense that I need this time to get that mind-muscle connection back, that confidence back to where I don't have to worry a single bit about where I'm going to be in the future, you know? This style of training is going to be more so based around, you know, preparing the baton for my future self, you know, passing along the torch to what I want to become. You know, it's especially sucky in the moment. Like before I went to the gym today, I was kind of in my head about it because I want to be on the program so bad. I want to be on a normal schedule. I want to be on doing the lifts that make me the most passionate, even if it's not right for me right now. And I have to continuously force myself to fortify the mindset that it's the only way that I'm going to be able to reach that peak potential, that peak passion again, is to allow my future self to take over when my present self has put in the work to earn it, you know? And currently, nowhere near earned it yet. You know, that is the hard truth. No pain today, which is great. I think I felt like the slightest kickback while I was doing my snatch warm-up. The way that I'm doing everything right now, I just want to do barbell routines for my snatch and clean and jerk, because that's really all you need to do. You just want to make sure you maintain the explosiveness of the lift, because the strength itself is not normally what you need to be fully concerned about when maintaining strength on a lift. I tell people all the time, maintaining strength is very easy. You could do the bare absolute minimum and still be able to lift just as heavy when you get off of that maintenance program. It's the consistency that's so hard. Like I mentioned, I really did not want to do what I was supposed to do today. I was thinking of coming in and getting back on the normal program and just doing deload weights. That would have been nice before my knee got a little tweaked, and then doing the recovery after. But I need to start with a legitimately trustworthy base to grow from. And because I haven't started anything today, that was why I was kicking myself the most and telling myself I wasn't ready more than I needed to, solely because I needed to get in and try something minimal that I could put a lot of effort into without risking any injury whatsoever. It's recovery. The weights do not matter, and that's why, like, for example, like for right now, I think it's just going to be like the same thing almost every single day because I have to focus my knee. And so I'm just going to maintain the Olympic lifts. If my knee feels good enough to put a little bit of warm-up weight on, I will do that just to make sure I get some practice in. Bench, I'm just going to feel it out at 225 for now, just to get that. I want to really focus on the stability and maintaining good form on my bench. My bench hasn't been at its best for a minute, so I really want to make sure that I build a good base for that as well, even though the injuries aren't there. And then other than that, it's just knee recovery. Whatever comes to mind that I think would test me in a good way, that would be good for actually working on what is hurting, or what might hurt. So today, after my warm-ups and my bench, I chose to do stuff that I have done in the past that actually worked pretty well for the future. And started with elevated narrow stance back squat. But like I did when I got off my knee injury last time, I'm doing slow eccentrics with a 90-degree pause or near a 90-degree pause. Just something that puts all the pressure on my quads and my knees and my core without utilizing the explosion out of the bottom of the squat, going ass to grass every time, because that explosion is what repacks a little bit too much pressure on my knee. I'm sure I could handle it right now, but the way that I need to train, the purpose and the desire behind what I'm trying to do right now needs to be fully and solely for the sake of my knee being as compact and confident and strong as possible. So that 90-degree pause is very essential, especially with the eccentric slow tempo lift on the way down. Those are really, really important, even if it feels stupid. I only did a couple sets at one plate today, but I really want to put on 185. But again, this kind of recovery requires nothing heavy. It really doesn't. It is solely a technique-based program that needs to be solely focused on a mind-muscle connection until I fully know with absolute 100% certainty that I can jump back into the normal program, So I'm going to be doing this style of training until my knee feels good enough to get back on a deload week. So I do like my complex or variation style of training for a deload, and then I'd get back in the normal program, which will probably happen after Christmas break because I always go out of town with family toward the end of December. So after the squats, did some Bulgarian split squats. Those are the types of lifting that you really are going to hate, but are so beneficial that you just kind of have to do them. They really show where you lack, because on my right side is actually very, very good. My quad on my right is weaker, but my tendon, or more so my tendon on my right is weaker just because I haven't trained it as much as my left because of these injuries in the past. But on my left, the tendon itself is weaker right now, but the quad is stronger. But vice versa, you do these really hard lifts that make you really strain a bit. Turns out my left, I'm pretty sure it's the abductor that's on the inside. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but the muscle on the inside of my thigh is definitely weaker on my left. So that's something that is going to be really good to work on to see what I can do to make that better and more stabilized for the sake of my overall squatting power, And then just finished off with some body weight sissy squats. It was actually way more concise than I thought it would be. Last time I did them on the old knee injury, I could barely do them and I had to hold my body weight off the side rails the entire time. I could go all the way down and just support right at the bottom now, which is awesome. And then just single leg step-ups, stack 2 plates on top of each other, barbell on your back, and I like doing it to where you just tap the floor with your heel rather than putting all the pressure back on that foot that's not being on the plate, because then it takes all the pressure off where you're trying to keep that mind-muscle connection. So, physically, it's not what I wanted to do. Sure, not by any means. I really don't like these types of workouts, but they are so important. And because I feel the most emotional about these workouts, whether like how I'm fighting myself, because I care so much. I genuinely want to do better, and I know that they're worth it. It's just not what I'm passionate about. I want to throw the heavy circles over my head, man. I want to squat heavy. I've just found the little crack in the cheat code where I could finally work on getting my clean and jerk form better, and now I got to take another step back. But every time you go through an injury, when you set your future self up for success, it makes you the strongest you could ever be, every time. So I got to be smart, and that's just how it's got to be. I gotta not lower the bar, same passion, same intensity, but just direct it in a new way. I'm not strength training right now. I am solely recovery and maintenance training for the sake of my left knee. That is what I have to believe and move forward thinking about so that I don't overdo it in the long run. Mentally, wait, I didn't even give you the physically. Oh my Lord. My brain's a jumbled mess. This is where we're at. But everything felt really good and really concise, and I'm proud of the form that's there, even if it's not perfect and it doesn't feel at 100% yet. So, I can definitely give it a solid 7.75. It felt really, really decent. It wasn't really anything special enough or intense enough for I could tell you that I went crazy or really, really enjoyed it. But this is the base. This is what sets me up to do better next time when I come in tomorrow. And again, when I wake up tomorrow, my knee might feel twice as good as it did today. And then I'm going to sit there and be like, oh, well, here comes that confidence and that experience back. Now I know what can work and what I can look forward to, mentally. Honestly, I'll give it a 7.6, just slightly less. It's normally the opposite. Mental's normally higher, but it's just I got to be real with myself. And these are not the things that I'm excited for. This is, I always tell you guys, do your best in the moment. Base your progress off the present you. And I still believe that. And I still am doing that. But I have to have a lot more faith in my future self right now than my present self. Because these are workouts that are easy compared to what I've normally done and aren't as exciting. I'm definitely making them difficult. You'll see on the single leg step-ups at the end, I was shaking, for sure. I was shaking. But that doesn't mean it really scratched the itch in the back of my brain. I want to, that's the addiction. That's why it seems like I'm beating a dead horse, but I'm just about injured every other month. And not in a way that debilitates me or make me weaker. It's how I learn. I don't have a coach, and I've always been self-taught. So I'm going the long, painful, just roundabout way of doing all this type of training. And that's not saying that I'm doing it to hurt myself or doing it because I don't give a shit. I'm doing it this way because I genuinely care about this style of training. It makes me excited to know that I could put in all this effort and learn all of this on my own for the sole reason of strengthening my own discipline and my own passion because I'm consistent with what I want to do. I'm not here for the sake of the weights and for the sake of the numbers. I'm here for the sake of the longevity of the lifts. So when I think about things like putting the belt back on or putting the knee sleeves back on, I got to remind myself, I know I don't need them. I don't have a genetic or chronic injury that debilitates my bones or my joints or anything. I've been at a point recently, especially, where I've been fully 100% healed. So if I can do it, and I'm not here for the weights predominantly like people do when they compete, then what am I doing convincing myself that I need to do that? I need to fortify my confidence and know that I can do it no matter what. So future me, you're welcome, because we're going to get there at some point. I don't know when, but by the end of this, I promise you I will be as stronger than I've ever been, and I will be the most confident I've ever been. I'm very excited because the program I wrote is so good based off of what progress I've had in the past. So we just got to one step at a time, and we will get there. I got to get to work. I'm about to be late. Let me know how the lives and lifts have been going. I love hearing about it. And I'll be back tomorrow with basically the same thing, but I might just try a couple different accessories for my knee. Or if I feel really good, I'll try some more warm-up weights with the Olympic lifts. Might try something a little bit, I don't know. It'll be the same style of training, but just see what feels confident and comfortable for the sake of my recovery. I love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.